Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of 15 Good Minutes. Coach B here. JR, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Nice long weekend, back, ready to go.
Freddie, what's up, buddy?
Hey man, woke up this morning with no power. Couldn't log on to go to work. Got my ass back in bed and went to sleep until.
Must be nice.
What could I do? I couldn't log on. I had no electricity because of the weather and stuff like that. No electricity. I had my
Generac.
phone. I was like,
Come on, man. You got that nice big pool. You need a Generac out there. Get one
That's
of those
what
big
you call,
generators.
you know what you call that, JR? That's what you call making a command decision. He looked at the situation around, made a decision, called it, executed it.
Power came back on about 11 a.m. I said, oh, okay. I got
So that's good. Listen. You ain't gonna ever get no argument out of me when it comes to getting some extra sleep. Trust me. Grab it whenever you can, any way you can do it. So, got an easy one this week. One that you tabled, JR. So I'm gonna try to set the table, and then I'm gonna throw it over to you. We had an interesting conversation. I don't think we completed it in the group chat, centered around entitlement. And Freddie, you made a couple of good points too. It's a very broad term. So what I like to do is try to narrow the focus of what we're going to talk about today. There is entitlement from here to here, but we're not going to be covering what I call rich folk entitlement. Rich folk entitlement, by definition, to me is, you, and I'm not saying necessarily you were born with a silver spoon, but it was very close by. And
Influenza.
yes, your expectations, because your livelihood and the way you live every day is totally different than everyday Joe. What you're looking at here is three everyday Joes, three former coaches. And what we're going to try to do today is bring you a little bit about our interpretation of entitlement as we see it. So Freddie made a good point about Bronny. And I think that's 100% entitlement. But that's what I mean when I say rich people entitlement. If Bronny wasn't who he was, say if he was Freddie's son, he'd be fortunate to still be in college, let alone turning down NBA workouts. So those are all things that I call first world problems, JR, things that he has to deal with because of the nature of who his dad is and what he has access to. I don't think that's what you wanted to cover today. So let me swing it over to you and get your take on what's up with entitlement and where you want to see this conversation go.
First, let me start by saying this is no way a slight on any of the eras, I should say, of our growing up, people growing up, kids growing up, because we've all come from different areas with different problems. And one thing I'd have to admit right off the bat is that the kids of today have it worse as far as what they have to deal with than what we had to deal with, at least in my era. I'm the 1957 up.
When you say worse, worse than what do you mean? You talking about safety?
No. I'm talking about things that we had to deal with, our responsibilities, unacceptable or acceptable behavior during the eras, and how we hustled. How did we make money? Were we supposed to do work in order to get allowances and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying, no, we don't want to slight anybody because there are some of the brightest kids that's coming up now, that they're very creative, and I think it's kind of it's like what Freddie was saying about it's a vast, but it's kind of vast in a way because the kids may not be motivated to do what we would do. I know when I was,
they may not even know what you would do though.
yes.
So,
But what I'm saying is that when we were kids, my whole mission was to go to school, come home, do my chores, wait for maybe get an hour or two outside, and wait for Saturday. Saturday came, that's when I got to do my thing. I got to go play. I got to go make money, and that was my money. My mother didn't take my money. That was my little stuff to save. And I don't know if we still have that sort of thing that's been going through the years that worked up to now. I know we've probably all had jobs as children, whether it's your paper route, cutting lawns or whatever it is. So I would leave that to you guys to say But like, I don't think like I said before, there's not a good or a bad, but I think that we were held to a much more higher responsibility level in some aspects. Do you feel that kids are more entitled in some aspects today? Freddie, how about you, Freddie? I'm talking about as far as stuff they get and what they do to earn it.
I think entitlement um, is a product of progression, right? Entitlement is a product of progression. I think a couple of weeks ago, actually, we had I was in the barbershop. We had this discussion about entitlement and things of that nature, and I told the story that as a kid, I remember growing up on Sundays, you go to church. My father would give us money to put in offering. Me, once I got old enough, I said, the hell with that. I'm gonna take the money, go to the corner store, get some candy or whatever. And so then he got mad at me for not putting it in offering. And so I said, well, if you wanted to go on offering, why give it to me? Put it in there yourself. But what he was doing, he was trying to teach me the right way. And so when we speak about kids in this day and age with them being entitled, I think it a lot of it falls on the parents, because the parents want to give the children things that they didn't have, as opposed to when you were a kid and you said, hey, I want this, or whatever. You had to go out and work for it and get it, yada, 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 as opposed to nowadays kids, they say they want this. And the parents will look at it and say, well, I wasn't able to get the best sneakers, when I was a kid. So I'm gonna make sure my kid has it. Right. And so I think that's a lot of it, the entitlement that kids may feel and things like of that nature. It's indicative of the behavior of the parents.
I would have to agree 100% with you, Freddie, in that I think that's it. But I don't think it's unique to this generation. I think it's easy to call them out. But I mean, I can remember specifically good friend of mine, and it's interesting because he died a few years ago, and I was just out at Arlington a couple of days ago to visit the gravesite. And one of the things I used to give him the blues about was he said pretty much what Freddie just said, but differently. He said, I didn't have this growing up. My kids are going to get all of it. Mind you, that goes back to the 80s. So this is not a 2024 problem. And specifically, I mean, they don't have these anymore. So I know I'm dating myself, but there was this thing called VCRs back in the day. And this is something that we used to use to record movies and such. Well, my good friend Greg made sure that, yes, that both of his kids had VCRs in their bedrooms, Freddie. I didn't have a television in my bedroom as an adult. And, you can check with Vern. He sure as hell wasn't getting one when I was raising him. So I think that speaks to what you're saying, Freddie. It's a parenting thing. And that was something that he felt strong enough about, that because he had nothing, he was giving everything to his kids. To me, it was overkill because I came from an environment where we going to watch TV at the same time in the same place because it fostered communication, similar to what you said your dad was teaching you with, putting the money in the thing at church. Different lessons, I think, come from different people. Now, Greg's kids today, wonderful young adults. So, so they grew up with VCRs and other things that my kids didn't. And I think they all turned out okay. I think the entitlement that I see personally, and one of the reasons that I got out of coaching, comes directly from the parents when they tell you, why did, and we had this conversation every year, why did you cut my son? He's not very good, ma'am or sir. You can't dribble 94 feet with his offhand, but he was the star of his AAU team. Again, this is because parents are building kids up. And you know what they do at the AAU level? Not all of them, JR, but in some cases, if the child isn't playing, they go off and start another AAU team, right? It's called the JRs. You can build your own team. There's no rules to stop that. So eventually, little Johnny would be playing with people that he's better than, and it gives him a false sense of accomplishment. And I believe that form of entitlement carries over to young adulthood when they're sitting across from you, JR, saying, hey, I'm here to get a job, but they can't talk to you in complete sentences. So I do think, the home, And I will say this now, a lot of things to your point, Freddie, have changed, right? Technologically speaking, there's a lot of advances and all those kinds of things, and this generation has adapted to that. But I would say that if parents don't pay attention to what they're teaching their kids growing up, when they do come to sit across from either one of you guys to get a job, they might be in for a rude awakening.
Okay, I think I fall in the same category as our friend. Uh,
Greg,
I think I fell in that category for my at least for my son, not for my daughter. You
you
know
can
what I'm
take the I
saying?
think out of it.
No, yeah.
No,
Well,
no, I'm
I'm
saying you can
saying,
take the I think out
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
So
Go
for
ahead.
my, my my son, I think it was because only because he was asthmatic and he had it bad as a child. And so we always thinking about, oh, he needs this and he needs that and blah blah, you know. No, for real. I think that's what it was. But but yeah, because I see the difference in them as they grew up. I saw who was responsible and who was a little bit less responsible, who would own up and stand up and who would say, not me. You know what I'm saying? So I could see what Freddie was talking about from that aspect. And but I know that I'm a half in, half out person because at least I had two children and they weren't stair step children. They were at least what 4 years apart. So, well, almost five. But that's something. Let me ask y'all a question. In both of you guys are accomplished professionals. So what type? I know Freddie already talked about church, and how he stole the money and wouldn't,
I didn't steal it. It was given to me.
No.
You can't steal what was given to you. Well, you know what I was going. I was a heathen. You
Why you
couldn't
So,
give
take
it to
why
me.
why you take shots at Freddie like that, man?
hey, Freddie, you're going up there. You're stealing from God. No, but
Given.
what other things have you done that might have helped foster you guys' professional uh endeavors as far as growing up is concerned?
For me, man, it's real easy, and I've always been this way. It's giving back. It's why I went to go coach in the first place, because I can remember distinctly the coaches that just took pity on me when I was growing up. I could play baseball, but I couldn't play anything else, and just to get on a basketball team was very difficult for me. And I always appreciated that. I mean, I grew up in a two-parent household. There was love, all that stuff, but there
Mhm.
was something going on in the coaching community that I always gravitated to. So as I became a coach, one of the things that I did right up until retirement, I would bring, because I am in the tech field, so I would bring our entire team out to the tech corridor in Northern Virginia, specifically Reston Tyson's, to meet with some companies that I work with to show them. So, because kids would think they know something, but you put them in an environment that's leaps and bounds above their head, technically speaking. And all I got to do is sit back. And all these whiz bang engineers are telling them, if you want to do this, you need to go get this education. You must have this level and things of that nature. So for me, I didn't just give back in terms of coaching. I wanted to make sure that I gave back because 98% of the kids, I can't speak Freddie's football, but in basketball, 98% of those kids will never play beyond college.
People can look at me and say, "Oh, you got it good. You got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever. Everything that I have, I've earned it."
I'm in the same area. I did some delivering milk, delivering papers, going down to the A&P market, and you bring your own shopping cart and carry people's food home. So I've been doing all kinds of things, and I think that helped me at least uh not end up where I came from. And not that where I came from is bad, but you got a choice, so the society doesn't hold you back, you hold yourself back. You know, I met some real good people along the way in 1980. I met one of the best guys, my best friend, Rusty, and he's always been encouraging me to do this and to do that. I fell out of the tech field, for a little while, but I'm still ended up in management and was able to succeed in that area. But I think all in all, I think all of our passes helped us, and especially I don't know where you guys came from. I think my street education of what I've seen helped me to say no, that's not what I want to do. That's not the direction I want to go. You know what I'm saying? So I think all of that helped me become who I am today, whether it's good or indifferent. That's what it is.
I got a great example. Got two neighbors. I can see both their homes from this window. They both have single child, son, same age. One of them has their son. He had a job. I mean, he works at the local Publix. You know what I mean? You got to go up there. You got to grind. Two kids, same age. Next door neighbor, don't have to work, drives an Acura. So
Okay.
again, two parents, identical home, same thing. That's kind of what I think it boils down to. What do you want to do? And it's going to be the parents, man. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
to your point, that they get you used to going out there and grinding like you did, Jr. Even though even in today, that young man want to put some gas in his car. I see him up there at the Publix when I go up there because he grinded. Next door, his parents like, no, I'll fill your car up for you. Before we cut out, let me see if these guys got something to say. Jr. I'm gonna start with you. Anything to say today?
No, I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm really good.
Copy that. All right, Freddie, how about you, man? You got something to say?
Yeah, just something regarding as it pertains to entitlement. You guys probably have followed this whole, a lot of these commentators talking about, there's a lot of hate with Caitlin Clark, and that's a form of entitlement, right? That's a form of to me, that's a form of entitlement. And I love Angel Reese's response to when I think they beat, was it the Liberty, and she said it wasn't because of one player on a charter flight, it was because of a team. And it's one of those things to where everybody thinks Caitlin was to come in and be the savior of the WNBA, but there was a lot of other people that helped lay the foundation for the WNBA to make the WNBA what it is. It's not just Caitlin, and then you have people like LeBron. Oh, I was been in those same shoes, and no, you have not been hurt in her shoes. You was never expected to carry a league. It wasn't on you like that, LeBron. Because when you came in, LeBron, you had Kobe, Shaq, Tim Duncan, you had other guys. You were not expected to be the face of the league. You was just gonna be another phenom, right? But it's just kind of like with the whole Caitlyn thing. A lot of people are saying that people are hating on her, and it's not really hate. It's just the fanfare that the media has put around her, as opposed to giving Caitlyn so much fanfare and love or whatever. You should also appreciate those other teams that's out there grinding, whether it be the Aces, whether it be the Sky, whether it be the Sparks, Liberty, whoever the case may be.
I remember distinctly, like a week or so ago, uh, Indiana was playing Seattle, right? And by the pre-hype standards, it was a lackluster game for Caitlin, but they were just trying to spin it. Jewel Lloyd, WNBA champion, WNBA scoring leader, I think had 34 points that day. And no one in the media talked about it. No one. They just tried to find a way to weave it in. I'm like, you have a champion that played today and played like a champion, carried her team to a win, but this is going to be the story. So I'm not one of the people that's hating, but I'm kind of like, this is what you get.
Yeah.
Right. And to your point, Freddie, it might not be her fault, but I mean, now it's to the point where everybody that they're playing against don't want to be that team to give up the loss.
Exactly.
And that comment that you made at the start was 100% spot on. It's not one person; it's a team. I'll leave you with this, JR. One quick story, man. Like I tell you, when I was first started getting into coaching, I had a mentor who got me in, right, Mark Sewell, and he said, "I'm gonna teach you the way." I said, "Okay." So the first thing he said was, "We're gonna go to the Virginia State Championship game because not because we're in it, but you need to see the best player in Virginia play." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go." We went to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. And the player that he wanted me to see was a young lady. And her name's Kara Lawson. And she carried her West Springfield team to a championship, went on to play for Pat Summit at Tennessee, 13 years in the pros, won gold with USA, coached USA women's team, and currently the head coach at Duke. She speaks to entitlement all the time. This shirt came from her. This is her slogan. Handle hard better. She does a really good job of trying to teach her students there's a lot that's going on besides what you're doing between this 94 feet. And guess what's coming for you? Disappointment. Guess what's coming for you? Not entitlement. And if you don't, you and the individual, your parents might be responsible for getting you here, but if you don't learn how to handle hard better, you're going to go to, to get a job with UGR and sit across that desk. And when you say, I don't have nothing for you, what are they going to do? Run home to mama and them? Huh? They need to handle that hard better, ask you what they can do to be better, ask you what they can do to get better qualified, and then go do that thing. So I think our community, all of us, anybody that's in coaching, I think we spot entitlement at this level probably faster than some, and I think we're more open and honest about what needs to be done to address it. So hats off to Coach Lawson for what she's doing, and because a lot of people would assume you go to Duke, privileged and entitled, and she don't come from that. She don't come from that. Local kid here in DC. So that was some good stuff there. So that's all we got time for. Hopefully you guys will continue to watch some Major League Baseball. We're coming up. I don't think it's starting yet. The NBA Finals will be coming up soon. We'll talk about that once we have that going in. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.